Hey there, it's Anonymous Tea, where we spill the tea anonymously. Hello, 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 everyone. Hello, YouTubers. Hope you guys are all having an amazing day today, sending good vibes, sending positivity, sending blessings, and good energy to each and every single one of you. Thank you so much for tuning in. So today we are talking Marie from Bell Collective unleashing on Carlos King, and the house of cards are falling down, you guys. Everything's on fire. So anything I say is alleged, and in my very personal opinion, this is for entertainment purposes only. None of this is personal, so we are getting right into it, you guys, because Marie has had it. She has had it, and let's get into her post. So her post says the following, you guys. PSA, I stood on business. Case dismissed. I took the high road and let God fight my battle. This malicious, frivolous, and meritless lawsuit filed against me was dismissed. I never lied. This conversation video shown was aired by the production company, informing the world I was being sued. That's the real story. There was no follow-up to this lawsuit being filed after it was dismissed, and my voice regarding this was never heard. Even after this case was dismissed, another lawsuit for the same matter was filed again to harass me. I was actually silenced on set about it to protect the image of others. It was swept under the rug and made hush-hush after it was concluded the case was dismissed. The story went away completely. When I was initially sued, I was silenced and had to show up to film with an active lawsuit against me like this wasn't a real issue, making it a hostile work environment. Had I lost this case, this would have been a story and would have aired to make me look like a bully. I get the bad edits come off. Oh, Carlos King doesn't like that word. He does not like edits. I get the bad edits to come off as if I'm popping off for nothing. Great for entertainment. It is definitely for a great reason. Season after season, I've been lied on, antagonized, and triggered behind the scenes, and individuals run to the camera and cry victim. I understand the audience can only go on what's shown. So much is happening off camera, such as me being harassed and bullied, and then when the cameras start rolling, the audience don't understand why, I have, so much, why she is so upset, why she's got so much smoke. And to keep filing the same lawsuit against me over and over because of losing the first lawsuit is insane and bizarre. I have taken the fall in another situation in order to protect the integrity of the show, but not anyone. At this point in my life, I have nothing to prove to anyone, and now that my legal woes, this is just crazy, you guys. So we're almost done. We are almost there, you guys. So now that my legal woes are behind me, I can continue to focus on building my healthcare empire. Only the truth will prevail. Peace and blessings. Hashtag a heart emoji, heart hands, and also hashtag Bell Collective. And the clip that Marie is referring to in this post is a clip in which Latrice is saying how she is suing Marie and how half the girls were always discussing her marriage and all of that, you guys. What a mess. So first and foremost, we have to, add this to the list. Another one. Shout out to DJ Khaled. I mean, when is it going to stop, you guys? When is it going to stop? Everything is on fire as it pertains to Carlos King. I wanted to do my due diligence, you guys, before I recorded this video. I'm like, let me do my due diligence. Let me just check before I record. Let me see if that Mr. Monday episode with Maurice and Soguchi reemerged on Carlos King's YouTube. Nowhere to be found. Still just the quote-unquote bonus episode of the Scots 1.0 and 2.0 from their LA extravaganza. Still there. And then I go to Carlos King's social media. So I'm like, okay, maybe he's going to have something snarky to say. Maybe he's going to have a messy quote or messy scripture or something, right? And all he had, I think he was in a Versace outfit with Fendi shoes at the basketball game and said loving basketball, and in his stories was trying to say that he was just there for Savannah James, which is LeBron's wife, and just really trying to make it seem like, we're he's in his own little world. He does not see
It's like the popular meme where everything is fine and it's a whole fire around you, or the other one, the name of the show escapes me, but when the guy comes into the pizza and comes into the apartment or whatever, and everything's on fire, everything is a disaster, it's what is giving. And then Carlos King reposted Tisha's post, and I was like, oh, Carlos, you were just really letting it known. I can tell you that this, I mean, it's like, it's no brainer, right? That Letitia and Marceau are, Carlos King's new favorites. I mean, it doesn't take a rocket science, you guys. It doesn't take rocket scientists. And then he also reposted from Own, because Own did some type of, here for the holidays, what do you like to do on your favorite holiday? And had some of the cast from Love and Marriage Huntsville. I believe I saw Letitia and Marceau, and later on I saw Mel as well. So nothing still from Carlos King. He has not said anything, you guys. And here's the thing, right? Like I've said in previous videos, it is not about like or dislike of a person. It's not about your personal feelings, your moral compass, all of these things that's going to get you out of order, is going to get you upset, and all these things. No. It is as simple as this, you guys. What is the difference between right and wrong? What is the difference between right and wrong? And listen, I understand. I wish Marie and Latrice could come to a resolve. I truly do. Because it's very frustrating to watch that show as a viewer, even if Marie is in the same place. It's like it's like she's only going to talk to, Letitia Pearson and maybe a couple other people. And she is going to be more than socially distanced away from Latrice. And it's just awkward. It is absolutely awkward, but I've said this time and time again. I want to point out a couple of things, right? So, I have never seen so many lawsuits associated with a Carlos King production in my life, or threats of a lawsuit. Remember back on Real Housewives of Atlanta, people never talk about this, right? But remember Candy sent Portia a cease and desist, you guys. Like there's just been so many cases under the Carlos King umbrella where it has escalated to the point that legal action needs to be taken, and it's not normal. And it's happening on all of these shows. But here's my thing. Everybody can't be lying. You can't blame this on Mel. You can't blame this on the millimeters. You can't blame this on a conspiracy theory to take down Carlos. These people are of their own sound, of their own mind, of their own free will, speaking on their personal experience with Carlos King. And what did I tell you about reality TV? Is that, yes, we're going to see the messy part, right? We're going to see the out-of-pocket part where everything is escalated, right? Like how people are mad at Mel and calling her mean and aggressive this season and all these things, and that she's active. But we don't see what led up to that, right? We don't see why somebody is animated or why somebody is upset. Just like people try to make a big deal about the videos that Martell shared with Tasha K, right? Trying to make it seem like Mel was an ABUSER, right? But he doesn't talk about the fact that there was a live and all the things that took place where he was doing all of this gaslighting. Nobody ever wants to talk about that part. Of all the gaslighting, all of the pretending that nothing is wrong, saying things to get Mel riled up, but then you hit the record button when you think you've got her and you've got the reaction that you want. This is the exact same playbook that reality TV loves to do. But the thing is, at some point in time, what happens is this: these cast members agree initially to instigate certain drama, to instigate certain scenarios, right? But then they don't realize how far some of these scenarios go, right? And then they don't realize that the same thing that they're doing to somebody else also can be done back to them, and can be done back to them tenfold, right? And so with that being said, it's pretty much everybody's like on Marie no matter what, right? But it's just exhausting. But it's the same thing. Like I said, all of these women cannot be lying. I think the only person I left out at this point is Elise Neal. There might be a couple other people. I think Sherelle I left off, or whoever. But enough is enough. And here's the thing. Had these casts got along for real, and ignored the social media discourse, ignored Stan Wars, ignored these messy Facebook groups and Reddit posts and all these things, and you guys put your head down and band together as a cast and say, you know what, we're not going to film as a cast until things change. We do not like the direction of this show. We don't like the messiness of this show. We do not like how toxic this show is. If you banded together and refuse to film, guess what? They have nothing but to acquiesce to you. Just like when you guys a few years ago for Love and Marriage Huntsville had to have the come to Jesus meeting. Remember, the bigwigs had to fly all the way out to Huntsville, Alabama to get the core six together and ask them in the same room, what can we do to get this resolved? And fast forward to now, and things are more of a disaster than ever. And it's not the same, and it's the exact same thing playing out on Bell Collective. And the way Carlos King has been overcompensating for Bell Collective and really trying to hype up the cast and hype up all this drama that's supposed to happen this season, and you have cast member after cast member after cast member week after week after week on these Mr. Mondays just letting it all hang out. And even Kimmy is pissed at Carlos and said, listen, you still treat us like we're the redheaded stepchild. That's what Love and Marriage DC used to thought that they were, right? When Carlos King ignored them for a year and didn't tell them when the show was coming back. And but Kimmy said no. She's like, you're obsessed with Bravo. You are obsessed with all things Bravo. Remember, Carlos King wanted to spend this extended period of time on Monday to discuss some wedding he went to of some lady that's in the business and didn't want her information out there, but for whatever reason, he still said her first name and nonetheless talked about all of the Atlanta housewives that were there, was gassing up Portia, was just talking about, you know, all of the old times and the fun times and double dates and da-da-da-da-da-da-da, posting that this is a legacy on his social media page and all of these things, you guys, really trying to make it seem like everything Real Housewives of Atlanta was the best thing since sliced bread, as if violence wasn't incited on that show either, as if there was not legal issues on that show either, because it got to the point where people were tired. But see, you didn't have the role there that you have now at OWN, so they didn't have to go at you directly. They could just go at each other. And that is the difference between Bravo and OWN as well. Is that at Bravo, they understand they're getting paid $1 million a season. I think Candy at the height was making over $2 million a season. So at that point, you guys, when you're making that type of money, there's going to be certain things that Bravo is not going to let fly, right? Because there's been some scandals, but they've pretty much neutralized a lot of things, especially in recent years. They have taken quick action to make sure no type of foolishness and tomfoolery is going to be continuing. They took a quick stand of anything that resembled or appeared or implied to be any form of revenge pee and suspended the cast member. Meanwhile, Martell, who has a conviction, is walking around freely to film and making accusations against other people that may or may not be true, but it doesn't matter because he's lied so much already and refuses to just produce the receipts. So nonetheless, it's just like, you know, wah. But again, Carlos, these are Black women who are saying there's toxic leadership. These are Black women, past and present on your shows, saying that they do not feel protected on your show as a Black woman. These are people on your shows that are telling you directly to your face, because you're always like, hey, so-and-so has my phone number. They can call me if there's an issue. They can tell me if there's an issue. Well, guess what, Carlos? They're telling you directly to your face their issues. And instead of you taking it into account and really feeling some empathy for them and some sympathy for them and telling them to their face that you're going to try to do anything and everything to make this right, that any type of mental health that needs to be taken care of, any type of sensitivity training that needs to be appropriate, if we need to remove people from the show so that you can be your best self and not have to feel afraid and not have to have security, then that's what you need to do. But you instead, you take it as a personal attack, Carlos. You take it as something that they're coming for you. And so you decide that it is going to be an all-out war for them. And that all-out war for Melody this season was you unnecessarily attacking the Millimeters and Mel supporters, you unnecessarily striking people's channels, and just all of this foolishness. And you even had all of the cast in on it, trying to blame the Millimeters and Mel supporters for all of their misfortunes, and it didn't add up. It didn't make sense. You were giving the Millimeters and Mel supporters all this power, like they were the Beehive, like they were the Barbs, like they were the Navy. It was crazy. I didn't even know the Millimeters had all this power. If that's the case, run them the check. Please run them the check, because it was insanity for a while. But you do these things just like Akeisha said, listen, on your Misty, said, she put up a tweet that I believe had to be deleted eventually, but basically put up the tweet and said, listen, this particular intro where it's like a little baby twerk, where I was just letting loose with production, we had talked about this, and we said since this wasn't really like a, lights, camera, action moment, this was not going to be a part of the opening credits. And guess what? It is in the opening credits, and even after Akeisha's tweet, still is in the opening credits, you guys. So you can't tell me that there's not an editor that can quickly swap that out for a different opening. No. They want it there to continue to piss off Akeisha, right? And I believe Akeisha said when she was on Mr. Mondays that this might be her last season, right? And it wouldn't surprise me if it's So Gucci's either. Because at what point are you going to continue to put up with this and you're only getting paid pennies? At what point, what are you gaining out of this? This isn't like a Bravo show where you're getting major exposure, you're getting major brand deals, major opportunities, you guys. Everybody on these shows, for Carlos King especially, they've got to hustle their behinds off. They've got to hustle their behinds off. They've got to have all of these other side businesses to, get things flowing, because that check from Carlos King only goes so far, you guys. That may just pay like the light and gas bill. That may just pay the DirecTV, and it stops there. The rest you need to pay for your household and pay for your lifestyle and everything else in between. So nonetheless, is this worth it? But here's the thing. Have these people, like I said, if you have not let your egos get the best of you, if you have not let, all this petty stuff with social media get the best of you, if you didn't have all these people in your ear telling you who you should hate in the cast, or who you should, go after in the cast to get yourself more screen time, or who you should instigate against in the cast, so that way you avoid talking about your actual issues and you get to avoid talking about your real life, because like I've said in a few videos, when it comes to Love and Marriage Huntsville, I definitely believe the new energy that Kimmy and Maurice have has nothing to do with anything other than this lawsuit. They probably had an idea of how they were going to spin this lawsuit on the show and make it look like Maurice was, protecting himself and was not going to let any YouTubers do X, Y, and Z to him and this and that, and was protecting his reputation. And this thing has snowballed. This thing has completely escalated into, a full-on class action lawsuit, you guys. So nonetheless, that backfired completely because it's still an active case. So there's a lot of unknowns on what's going to happen, and regardless of what's happening, you're spending all this time going to court dates, you're spending money whether or not you have an attorney or you're trying to represent yourself. You're trying, of course, to have your stuff together so you don't look ridiculous, because it's clear as day that a lot of these people do not know about Love and Marriage Huntsville. It is clear as day. I don't care what some of these people say. I do not believe that story that Marie said that people at the BMV or wherever he was were just randomly taking out their phone and taking video of him. No. Not if the judge doesn't even know about the show and needed some context on what the show actually entailed. No. So again, you guys, we have yet another active cast member saying that she is done biting her tongue. She is done holding back. Listen, there's blame to go around all across the board as far as I'm concerned, right? Because it should have never got to this point where things are this out of control. And it's to the point where people are just tired. But the issue that I have, Carlos King, we're about to get into the 10s and 20s of these reality stars who have an issue with you, who have an axe to grind with you, who feel as though they've voiced their opinions, they've voiced their concerns, and you've done the mute challenge. And you, instead of, like I said, taking their concerns seriously and doing something about it, you take the opposite effect and you make it about your ego, you make it about yourself, you turn it into an insult against yourself, against your reputation, and all of these things, and you decide it's an all-out war against them. But what you don't realize, Carlos King, is everybody else, now everybody's got their eyes on you. Now everybody is wondering, why are all of these reality stars, past and present, who have worked with or worked under Carlos King, are all coming out in all these podcast interviews, on all these social media posts, on all of these TikToks and YouTubes and tweets and all of the things, Facebook groups, exposing you? If you're such this great producer, if you have such a great production team, it's not normal. And this is across several of your shows. There's been issues at Real Housewives of Atlanta. There's been issues at Love and Marriage Huntsville. There's been issues at Love and Marriage DC. There's been issues, with Bell Collective. And I'm sure if more people watched Love and Marriage Detroit, we'd be hearing about that too. But it's just exhausting. It's really exhausting, and it's like, how many more people have to come out, Carlos, before you say or do something? And I don't need any type of passive-aggressive PSA coming this next Monday where you're going to say, well, anyone has my phone number, they can call me. If anybody has an issue with me, they can pick up the phone and call me. Well, obviously, they've told you to your face multiple times there are issues with you, and you've done nothing anyways, Carlos. So calling you really isn't going to make a difference either. And half the cast does not have your phone number, it seems, anyways. So that's a moot point as well. But nonetheless, you guys, unprotected, all these black women feeling unprotected, not feeling safe, not feeling like people have their back, feel like they're being set up to be ambushed, feeling like they're being set up to be attacked by everybody else on the show. And these are things that everybody's voiced. Latrice has voiced this. Now Marie's voicing this. So Gucci has voiced a variation of this. Also said, basically confirmed the pay isn't what you think it is. It sounded very low. Like even lower than Flo Rida, you guys. Like it just sounded super low. And not worth the foolishness. Like, you can make more at a fast food restaurant at this point. Like it's crazy. It is absolutely crazy. But none of this is worth it. And at what point, you guys, does it have to continue to get this bad and get worse and continue down this spiral and continue down this path before something gives? Carlos King, you are on the clock. And if you're just going to continue to be passive aggressive and not take this into consideration and take this as the other feedback and criticism that nobody's going to tell me what to do about my show, nobody's going to tell me how to run my show, and well, you're going to have more people quitting your show, Carlos. And no, it's not the fans' fault. That's a nice cover story. That's a nice, projection of blame. But that's not the reason that they're quitting. That's not the reason that they're sick of these antics. They all have a production story. They all have a story about you. And then the lies that you tell these cast members. You do way too much gossiping. Basically confirming to Akeisha and Soguchi that Selena was not going to be a Belle. But in the back of your mind, you knew you wanted her on this show because of her previously being on Bring It. But you put those little caveats out there. Oh, there's nothing to worry about. She's not going to be on this show. If you see her, she might just be in a couple of scenes as a friend. Da-da-da-da-da. Nothing to worry about, only for Selena to be a Belle. That is not good business practices. And nonetheless, Destiny making it seem like she had no clue Sunny and Moses were going to be on the show, but she was the one that engineered the storyline by exposing it on the Dear Future Wifey podcast before she was even going to be back on the show. And Sunny even confirmed that that Destiny was not confirmed on the show. She was still in negotiations, and it wasn't until Moses and Sunny signed off that they were going to film this show, Love and Marriage Huntsville, that Destiny's contract wasn't secure. Because basically they didn't feel confident enough that Destiny had enough for a storyline until Sunny and Moses signed on the dotted line. And then you have Marquez exposing how things are going, where production is trying to convince his kids that he's a deadbeat father when he's very much an involved father. He may not have physically lived there in the house anymore, and he may have physically moved to Atlanta for some time, but it's not like he's completely gone absentee on the kids and is not talking to them, is not interacting with them. He has since moved back to Huntsville and is picking up his daughter from school, is spending time with his son, literally just celebrated Thanksgiving with Ken and Trish. A complete opposite narrative than what the show is portraying. And you got mad at Marquez when he said that there's too much going on with these edits, that these edits are not showing everything. And you allow a scene to film where allegedly the scene got escalated with Ken, that allegedly a pop was pulled out. And nothing, no consequences, no action, no concern for safety, no security, nada. But then you guys want to make fun of Marquez if he's emotional. No. You can't just be out here popping on people. That's not the way. That is not the way to respond to conflict. That is not the way to respond to issues, you guys. But I'm saying all this to say there is too much drama. There is too much chaos associated with Carlos King. And I ask again, why aren't you talking about Married to Medicine, Carlos King? Where is Dr. Heavenly? You said Dr. Heavenly would be back. Why aren't you discussing the show with her? Because, again, if it was the millimeters, if it was all about, Dr. Heavenly quitting because the millimeters and all these things, and the fans of Love and Marriage Huntsville, then wouldn't that mean that the fans of Married to Medicine were better? Were more suited for your type of audience, Dr. Heavenly? Therefore, it would be quote-unquote safer for you to do Messy Mondays again with Carlos King? No. The issue at hand is Carlos King. You got sick of Carlos King pre-producing these shows and telling you to say the things that he really wants to say about these people because he knows that if he does, he gets dragged. And you got sick of it. You felt that you were giving all this behind-the-scenes stuff about Married to Medicine that you ended up getting in trouble for. And he was giving you absolutely zilch about Love and Marriage Huntsville and his other shows. And you said skip it. And the Marquez interview was the climax of it all. But I am going to need y'all to, keep the same energy and realize all of these people cannot be lying. And we see Carlos' messiness very much firsthand. Now, I don't know what's going on. I understand he's gone through a breakup. He still refuses to film in front of that closet, that shoe closet that I still feel like belongs to his ex. That might have been his ex's house. I don't care how many houses you own. We're talking about the home that has the shoe closet, Carlos, and you have not filmed there since. And I've given you like a month, a couple of months. I told you a month ago. Next Messy Mondays, film from that closet. Just show the people, shut the people up. But instead, it looks like you're in transition yourself. It looks like you're in transition. You're trying to get used to some new digs, some new condos somewhere, and all these things, right? And trying your best to brag and buy all these designer labels and all these things and put the live on mute. Oh, I've got a delivery. I have, a doorman, blah, 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 blah. Carlos, we don't care. Carlos, that's not why we're here. We are here to hear you review these shows. We're here for you to interview your cast members. But it always goes left. It always turns into something else, which is why all of these people are tired. They are tired of holding in all of their stress, all of their frustration, all of the issues that has been escalated and enhanced with your way of doing reality TV. And you just want to pretend it's nothing as long as you get a viral tweet and you're trending after, 1,000 tweets. That's all you care about. That's all you want to screenshot and post in your social media, right? The same social media you said you don't run, you don't pay attention to what people say, but you very much are paying attention to what people say, especially when the ratings are low. You come out of the woodworks with an article about linear ratings and the demographic of black women and all these things that have nothing to do with the total number of viewers that are actually watching this show. But again, something has to give, Carlos, because it's getting exhausting. It is getting exhausting that more and more people have come out in droves, especially in this year alone. And you have not done anything to change things. You have not done anything to improve the work environment. You have not done anything to ensure that they stay. And I don't believe for a second that Stormy left because of Mel or the millimeters or whatever. Stormy left because it was not going her way. She was not producing on the show of what people were expecting her to. And that's just the bottom line. Because nonetheless, she wouldn't have given a crap about whatever was going on with her and Mel and everything else going on. She would have tried to prove herself and stay on. But she obviously knows some of the messiness that takes place. That's why Carlos King offered that, offered that olive branch of letting Stormy film that episode of a recap episode or whatever to make it seem like everything's on the up and up and make sure, even though Stormy herself has said that the pay isn't that good, that there's stuff behind the scenes that goes on that's messy, that's inappropriate. But you guys gloss over that, right? You guys don't want to talk about that. But I always say everything starts at the top. And right now, Carlos King, it's not looking good. It is looking like everything at the top associated with you is an entire mess. So there is that. Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments. Please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you're notified the moment I post new content on my channel. And with that being said, I'll talk to you guys again very soon.